Welcome back, everyone. To this is the final installment in this year's Halloween special. I have 3 guests with me today. One you haven't met before, and two you haven't met, and one which was here in the 3rd episode, I think. I think we're gonna run through. Well, first of all, I'll let them introduce themselves. So, let's start.
Hello, I'm Marcella, and I was here in the episode 3? Yeah, I think so. So I'm still here.
Hello, I'm Grace, and I'm Adam's sister, who lived with the Hauntings, the haunting of Rutland Avenue, the haunting of Kenny Manor.
The haunting of. Hello, I'm Gavin, and I'm Adam's cousin. Known him all my life, and that's it. I should hope so.
Okay, so we'll get started. Okay, so I suppose I'll start with half explanation. I mentioned, I think it was on the 2nd or 3rd or 4th, I can't remember which episode, but that my house is personally, or has been, it's actually settled down in the past few years. I think my sister can agree. Not with her, but with us anyway.
I moved out. It's fine now.
So yeah, I might have just been following her, to be honest.
I think it is.
But I'll get her to start with maybe. Can you remember your earliest?
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of, if you want to talk a bit about it, and then lead on to some stories and stuff, and
Okay.
you take it away.
Okay. I can't remember the very first time. We moved into this house when I was 6, so Simon was 4 and you were 3, and I was a very odd little child. But it was before me communion, so I was coming up to about 8. It could have been a little bit before that, but I know I was heading into like communion stage, so everything was grand. Went to bed one night, and if I woke up, I used to call me ma, and instead of knocking a light on, I used to ask her, could she just leave the doors open, because Mrs. Trainer would always have her landing light on, so I felt safe, like, because the landing light was right where our landing was, so I could see, like, I was like, yeah, I felt okay, like. So this night, I had woken up. We had bunk beds at the time, we shared a room, so I was on the top bunk, and you and Simon were on the bottom bunk. Yous were babies, basically, and I remember waking up and feeling a bit weird, and I called me ma in, and I was like, ma, can you just leave the door open? She was like, yeah, no problem. So she left open her bedroom door, and she left open her bedroom door. That was fine. She went back in, and I was lying there, and I was like, I just couldn't get comfortable. So I was lying on my right side, and my back was to the wall. My right side was lying out, and between the bars of the bunk bed, the room got freezing, and I just looked, and there was this. The only way I can describe it is, the way I used to describe it was the Virgin Mary, because that's the only, in my mind, that's what it processed as, because it was like this girl, I can still describe her to this day, pool blue eyes, porcelain skin, sandy, like, blondie hair with white, like wearing white draped with blue around the middle, and like a white kind of aura around her, and that was it for me. I screamed, and I was hysterical. And me ma comes running, me dad comes running, what's wrong? And I was like, there's someone here. But when me ma actually ran, she got to the threshold of the door, and she actually couldn't get in. She was like what do I do? And she was panicking as well. And I remember her telling me that the room was like ice, and she could not get into the room. She was trying to get in, and every time she went to get in, it was like, it just wasn't allowing her. So eventually then she got in, and I was like, ma, this is what happened. Like, there was a woman looking at me, and I was convinced I saw the banshee, because not the way Nanny and all would tell us like about stories about the banshee, and it was all great and all, and we'd love it, but I was convinced I saw the banshee. And it's only now that I'm older I'm like, that wasn't a banshee. And I remember Maria actually saying to me, like, no, that was your guardian angel, like, she's, she was so pretty, and she had the white aura, and that's a good thing. And
I just want to interject. Obviously you would remember Maria from 2 episodes ago. We had her daughter here talking, and she herself considers herself as sensitive. So, but she has a very positive mindset towards these spooky dealings. So she would obviously have said, like, it was an angel, or obviously you're a child as well, probably just not trying to frighten you too. So
no, I know. But even looking back, like, when I consider all the things I've seen and dealt with after that, I know that it wasn't a bad energy that came. I don't know. And I remember just freaking out completely, and I was terrified. And for years, until we even changed rooms, I slept. I would not get. Well, I'll backtrack a little bit. So that night, my ma came into the room. Eventually, when she got in, and I was like, "Ma, I'm telling you, there's someone here. There's someone here." And I remember my ma going, looking at the two boys, you and Simon, and going, "Did you see any feet?" I think my ma was just panicking, and I was like, "You don't understand. Like, I saw her. I actually." They'd sent me to Sister Eilish and all over this. Yeah. And they asked me, Sister Eilish is a nun who worked in a primary school, and she was just lovely. Like, now she was a lovely woman. She's like her, yeah. And so was Sister Eleanor. Actually, they were two nuns from the Dunnar Avenue like parish community. Absolutely lovely women. Like they really are. And she was really good. Like I remember,
except when you're on her hands and knees looking at a penny.
Yeah, that's another story completely.
I'll leave that
about yeah, that's a different story completely about me being a little Jippo Nolan as a kid. My nanny told me you are looking for pennies on your hands and knees. Oh, did she now? Your nanny told you this? Yes, Sister Eilish. My nanny said you were rolling around the stairs looking for pennies you were. Well, I wasn't a favourite grandchild for that anyway. My poor nanny dropping her in hot water.
But I knew who.
Okay, so I remember in school. So right, I'll have to kind of rewind a little bit. So this all happened, and I remember my ma getting so freaked out. I used to sleep with blankets tucked into the bars, so I couldn't see out of the through the bars in the bunk bed. And I remember my ma getting so freaked out that she actually spoke to Father Paddy at the time. Remember him? He was lovely. He had I don't know, you probably won't remember, when Father Paddy, I think his name was, and he was just so nice. Or it could have been Father McGardle as well, Father Sean. And my ma actually got so freaked out that she spoke to him and told him, look, this is after happening, and what do I do? And the priest actually said to her, don't ever tell her that she's wrong. Don't ever tell her that she didn't see something. He said, because I can tell you for a fact what happened was real. Like, we see it all the time, and it's just not mentioned very much. But don't ever go against her. Don't tell her she's wrong. Don't tell her she's imagining it. He said, because it's all around, and little children are very susceptible to stuff like this. So that was okay. So then from then on, it kind of got a little bit worse, where it started off where, like, first I saw something, so then I kind of see things, but then that kind of quietened down where I'd hear things instead of see things. So and like dreams I'd have as well. There's dreams I've had that are like kind of premonitions, if you can call them that. Yeah, very, very weird. But there's been times when I was a small child, I remember having a dream, and this is so weird. I know it's going to sound so weird, but our family was there, and we were walking down the canals as if we were coming back from the graveyard, and it was pitch black, and it was lashing rain. And I remember getting to Sally's Bridge, and this voice, it was like over an intercom or something, said, "Welcome to the Banshee Zone." And with that, I woke, and I was like, okay, and I was like, I'm gonna hear footsteps. Now at the time, we were all upstairs, like, so, you know what I mean. Me ma was in the front room with me dad. Me, you, and Simon was in the back room, still in the bunk beds at this stage. So I remember lying there, waking up, and I was like, I'm gonna hear something. And I heard footsteps up the stairs, and I was like, I'm gonna hear something at the window. And next of all, I heard, like, I don't know if I could do it for this, tapping at the window all night. I was awake all night, and I was like, please, if I hear me ma or dad getting up to go to the toilet, I can call them. Or I was shivering in the bed, and I actually sweat that much that when my ma came in to wake us up for school, I was already awake, and my eyes just felt like they were being dragged down. I was shivering. It was like a cold sweat. My ma actually thought I wet the bed because of the sweat. My ma thought I was out there wetting the bed, and I was like, no ma, I'm telling you, there's something outside the window. And my ma went and checked, and she was like, I was probably just a magpie that saw something shiny. And I was like, in the middle of the night, I was like, no, you don't understand. I was like, this was like literally tap 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 constantly.
Just speaking of magpies and windows, that actually happened to me before. I was sitting there on my own in the bedroom we're in now, and I heard Matt tapping. So I know you're talking about by tapping, but but the tapping was really loud. It was magpies trying to get in. But just, it is a bit spooky, because then I googled spirit animals, and it turns out that Yeah, mine was that animal. Yeah, just really strange. It wouldn't fly away. I opened the window, looking at it. I just kept tapping at the window. It's creepy.
No, how do you Google what your spirit animal is?
Exactly. You go to Google and type in what's my spirit animal.
Google obviously doesn't know it's this is Adam Kenny and his spirit animal is a magpie. It's like what information do you put in?
You put in like your date of birth and stuff like that, and I got mine from like the traditional Native American one. So I mean, it's just interesting you said that. I just remembered that little bit of spooky. It was just creepy it was. But back to the proper spooks now. As you where do we leave off there? You were saying you hear the tapping and stuff, and you were in this had sweats.
Like, it wasn't just like a tap. It was like a tap. Like.
Is this? Would you say this was a reoccurring thing, or was that once off with the tapping and stuff?
No, I've heard that plenty of times. And like I used to, like I'd be lying there awake and I'd be like, I hope one of my brothers has a bad dream. I hope one of them wakes up so my ma will come into the room, or I just hope like someone will wake up so the light will be put on, because I didn't want to be that annoying child, because I already felt weird enough, like and especially then, because after that happened, when the priest, obviously they're all in connection with the skills and stuff, and my ma was obviously talking to the priest as well, and Sister Eilish, and then Sister Eilish took me out. It wasn't part of the Rainbow Club, that was a different thing, but she took me out and she was asking me like what I saw and could I describe what it was, and I actually drew her a picture. To this day I can still draw you a picture of what I saw, and to be honest with you, to be completely 100% honest with you, it kind of looked like Frankie. Frankie is my little girl. She's my oldest. She's my oldest little girl. She's 6 now. So hello, Frankie, because I know she's gonna want to hear this.
Actually, should you be allowed to listen to this?
No, but you know, she just, because it's her uncle's podcast, so she is always interested. She's always interested. She's like, oh look, I could see Amma on the internet, and I'm like, yeah, okay, like of course you can watch it, you can listen to it, like yeah. When I remember saying that a few years ago, after I had Frankie. She was about oh my god, there's a different conversation going on in this room about Jameson. 2 balls of James. No, proper 12 on James. Oh my god. I don't live with them, but I used to live with them. Alcoholics.
As you were saying,
yeah. What was I saying?
You were saying the picture you were able
the picture that I drew, like I can still do it to this day. And when I had Frankie, and as she got to about like maybe a year and a half. Are you getting cans?
I'll get you one.
There's 2 cans of Canadian in the freezer for me and Gav. Then put another 2 in. Of course he does. The lady has spoken.
Just make sure you can hear it.
Yeah. Okay, so okay, I'm kind of nervous now. Where did I leave off? I left off.
You're still telling the story about drawing the picture.
Yeah, so I drew the picture, and years later, obviously when I had Frankie when I was 22?
Older than that.
No, 23. When I was 23, because I'm 29 now. So I had Frankie when I was 23, and when she got to about a year and a half old, I just remember she looked at me one day a certain way, and I was like, oh my god, that's who I saw. That is who I saw. Like that is my Frankie. Like that's. And I remember Maria actually saying, like, she was talking to me ma about, because as Adam said, like, Maria would be real spiritual. Like, she did I love the angel cards and all, and I actually firmly believe in the angel cards. I pray to my angels all the time. And if something happens, hey Max, hello baby. Like, if something.
You better mention who that is.
Oh, Max. sorry. Max is our German Shepherd. He's just very nosy. I had to say, I do firmly believe in the angel cards, and Maria always said as well, that like that was your guardian angel, and she was looking over you. But I actually do believe, because of the white aura around her, it was just I think it was just like a pure soul, which was, that kind of, I felt a bit better about that, but it still freaked me out. But even at that, like, our house is just so weird that now my friend Laura, hi Laura, don't think you're going to listen to this, but okay, her aunt used to live in this house before we moved in, and she actually fell down the stairs and broke her neck and passed away. And we have a lot of instances and a lot of things that happen on the stairs in our house. And I remember even being a kid and I'd be terrified. Even to this day, we're all still a bit wary of going up the stairs. Or even if I'm going out into the porch to have a smoke, freaks me out. That light has to be on. Sorry.
No, I just want to say, we talked about this on one of the last episodes of everyone kind of gets that vibe off the top of our stairs, kind of like.
Even Laura.
Yeah, we have one more corroborating witness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I did, yeah, definitely, yeah.
100%.
Like, I would have never have really believed in that until like the night my story, I suppose. Well, I look anyway. Finish.
Go on, no, go
Yeah.
on.
Will I jump in?
Yeah, well, I was just have a question I never actually asked you, because obviously I know you since I'm 0, right, Gavin?
0 years old.
Did you always believe in it, like the paranormal? Did you ever have an instance? Because I know Grace herself believed at a young age, and I did as well. But do you remember like a specific incident, or did you always kind of believe?
Oh, like, to be honest, right, I suppose we grew up in a family where like we were always storytelling and we were always saying stuff, and no, like I wouldn't have really believed in it, but I remember
Enjoyed.
yeah, I did enjoy it. I got like a bit of a buzz out of listening to little stories and all. But I remember when I was about 14 or something, because I was in secondary school at the time. I remember that I had a dream about a man that was a neighbour side, but we wouldn't be close to him. My family wouldn't really be close to him, but we would know him. And I dreamt that he was going in an ambulance. And that morning when I woke up, my dad came out and said that he dreamt that man was going in an ambulance. And I didn't want to say anything because he already said it first. I didn't want to just, at that age.
Jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah,
there,
like,
son.
exactly. At that age. Exactly, yeah.
It's hard when you're a kid.
Yeah, exactly. Because at that age, especially 14, you don't want, like that you're trying to be the big man at that age, kind of, and you don't want to sound like a child going, oh, I had that dream too. Yeah. So I just kept quiet about it. And that morning when I went out to go to school, the chap was actually going in an ambulance. And I thought it was a bit weird, but I never really thought much of it. I just thought it was like, yeah, something like that. Then the first thing that happened then to me, then there was a few little things, like little weird things that did happen, and I must admit over the years that other people told me and that I did kind of witness, but
blame Maureen's on
yeah.
it.
Well, you say kind of witness, can you go into more like?
So yeah, like the only reason why I don't say it happened to me is just because I was young, and I know that like your mind is kind of dreamy when you're young, if that makes sense. I don't know. Like,
Still developing.
Yeah, like I remember one of the earliest memories of something kind of spooky happened. I was so young. I was probably about 4 or 5 or something, and I remember I used to sleep in my ma's
Story about your house.
bedroom.
In your ma's bedroom with
Yeah.
the single bed. Yeah, I remember that.
I was sleeping in the single bed at a time, and I looked up. And
This is the flats.
yeah, this is
We all kind of.
this is
Oh,
in
yeah.
St. Teresa's Gardens,
Yeah.
and I looked up.
You up the flats?
Up the
Well, I
flats
think we
ways.
should mention this is the same area as a lot of the previous stories. That it's kind of old Dublin, and the place
Around the
itself
Liberties and stuff.
was actually built on a horse graveyard. So just thought I'd throw it in there. It's actually the same area. So
So I remember I was about 4 at the time, and I remember I was lying in bed and I looked up. There was always coats hanging on the door as there is in your room, what you see.
yeah.
And I remember that I seen like a white feather, but it was surrounded by like a blue kind of light or something like shining, and it was just kind of I don't know, floating or something. And I remember seeing it, and I just been thinking, yeah, what the fuck? And I was scared, and I got a fright. I was only young, and I just kind of caught me man. Anyway, yeah, I didn't think much. She just said, "Ah, you're dreaming. You're only young," and yeah, I kind of don't know. Like it's weird. It's one of them things that I kind of feel as though it did happen, but I was so young that I just write it off.
Can I?
Yeah,
Can I-
jump in. Yeah.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
Can I just interject with actually a story about Gavin's house as well? We used to have a lot of sleepovers as kids, which literally we were all reared together. We were like, and I remember one night staying over in Gavin's house. So say he was down the bottom end of the bed, so he was like his head was like at the door, say facing the door, whereas I was awake and I could see out into the sitting room. And sorry, oh my god, I'm so sorry, bloke. It's the booze. It's my beers. Hold my beer. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So I remember waking up one night and Anna was asleep, Gavin was asleep, and I remember trying to kick him awake, and he was just like dead as a dodo, like slept like a log. But there was a man sitting on the chair, and this man had a green jumper, a red and like white checkered pair of pajama bottoms, but he had the head of a lion. And I was terrified, and I kept kind of trying to kick him, and he wouldn't wake up. But I actually dream a lot about the flats. I constantly dream about Nanny's house, but recently I had a dream about Gavin's old house, which was right next door to Nanny's house, but on the other block. They were attached, but you had to go through separate stairs to get to them.
And for the Americans listening, which I know they do, because
in the
I know
ghetto.
Adam says it, Nanny is grandmother.
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought we were talking about flats. Oh, sorry.
No. Well, I actually should have mentioned that in the first episode. But when I say nanny, it's not like an au pair. Like it's your grandmother.
Oh no, it's your grandmother. Like yeah, nanny.
Good
like
call, I forgot to
yeah,
say
I completely that wouldn't have went down my head. So I have dreams about me nanny's house a lot. I was recently dreaming about William and a new toilet, and the dreams I have weird. But one of the most recent nightmares that I had was about, we were in Gavin's old house, and Frankie was there, and she was playing out on the balcony with a young Gavin. Like it was like me and Gavin playing as kids, but it was Frankie, and I was going in and out. It's like I was the ma, but like I knew I was Frankie and Darcy's ma, but Darcy wasn't there. And then there was a lot of playing around, and then I heard a lot of screaming. So I went out, and when I went out the balcony, it was like low. And when I looked over, Darcy was dead in a pool of blood after jumping over the balcony or falling. Darcy is my youngest little girl. She is 3.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
I have horrible nightmares, like horrible night terrors, like.
Well, I think that might be like a common like fear dream, because I had the exact same type of dream. It was in Nanny's up the top balcony, and it was Frankie though, and Frankie was messing and she fell over, and I couldn't grab her, but I hit like I heard the thud, like I heard the splat, so it was real to me. And so I woke up in a sweat being like, Jesus, that was mental.
I have a quick weird dream just to throw in that I had about you, Adam, when I was a kid, and to this day still haunts me. Michael Myers was chasing me with the boiler suit and the mask and everything, and I ended up in this like parking garage, like a car park or whatever, and I ended up running over with a big even butcher knife and stabbing him through the temple. And then you took the mask off, and it was you, and you were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it was a joke." I was like to this day that dream haunts me. Sorry, no, that was just a crazy dream. I'll swing it back to where I left off. I think I was talking about the woman that lived here before us. She...
No. That's what you're talking about before we start recording.
No,
you were actually to swing it back around to our house and stuff like that.
No, this is going to do it, our house. Yeah.
Were you talking about...
The woman that...
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we were talking about that the stairs were spooky and stuff, so you can talk about how that was and stuff.
Okay, so the woman that used to live here, she fell down the stairs and she died. Like she broke her neck and died. And the stairs in her house, even Laura says the stairs here are just creepy. Laura is obviously the niece of the woman who died, and like even if anybody that was like to come into the house, a lot of people have said the same thing, where they're all saying like there's this awful feeling on the stairs. But I remember as a kid and all being able to say like, I'm gonna hear footsteps, I'm gonna hear this, I'm gonna hear that, and I'd hear it. And there's been times actually when me and Simon have been out of the house, and my good sir over here, Adam, has been witness to this, where he'd hear the keys going in the door opening, the keys going on the hook, the footsteps going up the stairs, the bedroom door opening and closing. And then at this point, me ma, who was sleeping downstairs with me dad at the time, she if me and Simon went out together, she'd assume, oh well, maybe they had an argument if they come home alone, because she only heard one set of keys, one set of footprints. So this is all fine. Me and Simon are out not knowing anything what's going on. So Adam was upstairs on the laptop, and my ma went up and went into the back bedroom, which was my bedroom at the time, and came into Adam and said, like, where's Grace? Like, she didn't come in with Simon. And Adam goes, I thought that was Grace that came in. Simon's not in here. And then, so that was all right. He went back down to bed and whatever. But then eventually me and Simon did come in and we went upstairs. So we were only in about 10-15 minutes, and next of all we hears Max, which is our German Shepherd, which made an appearance earlier, tried to get in your room. We heard Max growling. So we went downstairs and all. Me ma actually went downstairs, and Max was growling and barking, and the man that lives across at the back of us actually stopped me 2 days later and said that he thought he seen someone in our garden. But at the same time, when my ma went out, Max was actually standing at our old computer table growling and barking at a picture of Nanny Fitzpatrick, who was only recently kind of dead. But at some point then, Max used to go up the stairs. Max doesn't really go upstairs that much if you haven't noticed. But I remember there was a time where he used to get halfway up the stairs, and you just hear him going growling, and Max doesn't growl, like. And then he just, like, he kind of come back down with the tail between the legs. Like, it's just, you know, the stairs are just horrible in this house. But there's a lot of things like that went on, not with just the stairs, but I remember being a kid and being here. Well, when I say a kid, I was like, what, 12, 14. I was here on my own, and there was glass in the doors at the time, in the sitting room door, and you'd see someone like going up and down the stairs. And the cat which followed me home one night, which we have now years, I remember being here on my own before as well, and I was trying to get the cat to go out because she needed to go out and go to the toilet. She'd been in for like hours, so I kept going like, oh, come on, let's go out. And the cat was just sitting staring at me, and that cat's face, I swear to God, changed into Nanny Kenny's face, and that freaked me out. And I was like, no, gone, seriously, sorry, can't do this, like, no, I can't do it. But I used to have like really weird things, like the day that Grandad Fitzpatrick died, I remember I was only a kid, like we were what, 11, 12, you were 12, I was 11, something like that, yeah. We were all really young, and I used to have these weird dreams about like people and like stuff would kind of happen. So I remember dreaming that I walked up the stairs, walked down the balcony, got into me nanny's house, walked into the sitting room door, and you know, the sofa was just like right there. I got to there and Grandad had the paper, and here he was. He put the paper down and he goes, here comes Gracie on her toes, picking her nose, I suppose. That's something he always used to say to me. And I remember standing there looking in my dream, and Grandad put the paper down, and he was wearing his white polo shirt with a Puma thing on it, his black slacks and his slippers, and he put the paper down. He said, no, you need to get out, what are you doing, you can't be here, go, get out. And I remember, like, in my dream I just kind of woke, but I woke to the sound of the phone ringing. That was 6 o'clock in the morning, middle of like summer. So okay, fair enough, kind of dozed off a little bit, didn't hear the phone call around. The earphone was down at the bottom of the stairs at the time. So later on that morning, when the three of us woke up, I came downstairs and I was like, where's me ma? And my dad was at the saying, oh, your granddad's not very well, he's in hospital, your ma's had to go over to him. And I remember Jenna coming over then, and she was playing Oh When the Saints Come Marching on the little keyboard that I had, and she was like, oh, like, your granddad's not well. And I was like, no, I know, but he died. He died, and I'll never forget that dream. I woke up to the sound of my granddad telling me to get out. And another thing as well, I remember dreaming about my granddad as well, where I wasn't asleep. I know I wasn't. I was awake, and I could. He was sticking his head around the bedroom door, going, "Oh yeah, like, and like, you watch yourself now and just be careful." And then I kind of snapped out of it, and I come downstairs and I was like, "Ma, was Brian here?" I was like, "I could smell cigarettes. Like, was Brian here?" And she goes, "No." I said, "What's been dreaming about Grandad?" And remember, my ma always used to say, "Will you just send him down to me? Will you please just send him down to me?" But I used to hear a lot of things as well. I remember as a kid, I used to have to sleep with earphones in, because when I was after, say, the bunk bed incident, we'll call it, the bunk bed fiasco, I couldn't really function as a kid then. I was terrified of everything, and then I stopped kind of seeing things, and then I could hear things. So I'd hear this like inaudible kind of whispering, and it'd get so loud, and I'd be awake for days. I used to sit up looking out the front bedroom window counting cars going past, like, and you and Simon would be asleep, and I'd be just like, I wish I could sleep. Like, I just want to sleep.
Strange.
And but there's loads of times that like I thought I've seen weird things in the sky and all, like from watching the cars, and I'm thinking, right, was I just tired? Yeah. But sorry, what was I gonna say?
I think, you know, if you're already if you already feel like there's something wrong, you're more susceptible to see weird stuff. I mean, I think the most legitimate spooks that you can see is like, you know, when you see something out of nowhere, there was no feeling of badness forced, because that way it's definitely not your mind tricking you and stuff.
Because
you know.
recently as
Wait, hold on, wait. You have to take the mic, like.
sorry. No, I'm just saying, I used to be terrified at this stuff, and the likes of like hearing things, seeing things. Like, I used to, my mum and dad actually had to get me like a little portable radio, say, and I'd have to sleep with earphones in because I couldn't stick the whispering and the noise, and I was like, oh god, maybe I'm just going mad. But I remember my dad making a laugh at me, like, oh yeah, the ghosts and ghouls are keeping her up, like. And that night I was like, you'll see, that night my dad was kept awake in this very room, actually, with the noise and the whispers and all that. And also my dad woke up to find a woman on top of him choking him.
Whoa.
And every time he tried to move to wake me ma, she was getting stronger, and the grip was getting stronger.
That can runs in my mind.
But did he see? Remember, he used to see the dog with the red eyes. Remember?
My dad. Was that when he was younger?
No, that was around the same time.
Oh, what? I didn't know. No,
Yeah. Because he woke up. He woke up and he wouldn't. My mum woke up and was like, "What's going on?" Because I told the story in the previous one. There used to be a window in this room where you could see out into the sitting room. And he wouldn't tell me ma what he's seeing, and then he was like, "Oh shit, I believe you." But it was funny. I just thought I'd mention that because there's a story that you don't know, Grace, that I only found out yesterday that Tara told me. Her Auntie Rosie's seen the same thing.
The dog with the red eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do know that.
So that's just
and
fucking
she's seen
creepy.
The second balcony window.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the opposite
I never knew
side.
that. Just
yeah, no, I
weird.
know that. Yeah,
What were you going to say something, Gavin?
Yeah. No, that's a bit strange because it runs in with my story as well. That, like, I remember it would have been years ago. Like, I moved out of St. Teresa's when I was 18. So it would have been
12 years ago?
Yeah, 2008 it would have been. So I was 18 years old and I was up here. It was Halloween night, and I don't know whether he was having a little party or something. And I remember you, Peter, Luke, all that. You would have seemed a lot younger than me at the time, and I was just spooking you out because, like, me and Grace be roughly the same age, and she would have told me all stories, and I was just acting the bollocks, just telling you all stories. And then I remember then that night I went home and I got into bed, right, and I just remember having a sleep or whatever, right. I fucking woke up in the middle of the night, but my arm was over the bed sheets, and I felt the sheets just being pulled, like the duvet just being pulled wasn't even being pulled, it was just like very gently just being kind of took off me. I don't know why, I didn't feel threatened or anything, and I just kind of said, stop. I thought it was like my man or something like that. I don't know, like, fuck, I don't know, like. And I just opened my eyes then, and I realised I was in the room and it was dark. I couldn't move, I couldn't speak. Yeah, I
don't believe in that though.
Do you know what? I did look into it afterwards, and I heard there's a thing. I heard there's a thing called sleep paralysis where you wake up physically, but your mind is still dreaming. And it could have been that, I don't know, but from my experience, I was awake.
It was real to you.
It was real to me, and the thing that kind of makes it feel more real to me as well was I felt someone's breath on my ear. Now I would have been right at the edge of the bed, you know, like not looking out onto looking kind of fucking, I'm saying the opposite side of the bed kind of, so I would have been looking into the bed more so out onto the floor. And it felt like somebody just leaned on the side of the bed and got into my ear. But wherever they whispered, it was like and this is the strange thing about it, was like a fucking gargling, like just I couldn't even. I don't even know what it was. It was just like somebody going just fucking gargling, going all that kind of shit. I don't know, but with that, now that you say it, I would probably say like underwater, yeah. And after that, then right, I remember panicking, and I was trying to just push and like punch or whatever, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't move my body. And then I just gave up. Then I just thought, right, fuck it, whatever it is, I can't do anything about it. So just fucking embrace it. Yeah. And I just said, fuck it, I don't care and whatever. And I was panicked or whatever, but it just kind of stopped like that. And I just pulled the sheets over my head like a wimp. And I was just lying there, just kind of thinking to myself, fuck, like, what was that? What happened? And I was thinking, just put the lights on. And I literally just jumped up and just slapped the light on. Nothing in the room. And then I just heard the bell, because where I live, obviously down in the flats where we grew up, there would have been a church very close by, and on the hour, every hour they ring a bell. So it would have been, if it was 3 a.m, you'd get 1, 2, 3. If it was 1, on every half hour as well, they just do one bell. This one rang 4 times. So I remember counting it, because I talking to Grace and hearing all her stories, and she got into this and she was telling me all this. I was thinking, oh, it's gonna be like 3 a.m or something. That's like the witching hour, you know. And then it went 4 in the morning, and I went, oh fuck, thank God for that. At least I know it's not fucking Nick the fucking devil up my arse. But just I remember that just being, that's the only one thing that happened to me that I would say it was linked from here, because I was spooking out people here, messing. Went home, and it was like something followed me and gave me a scare, like yeah.
I think what people subscribe, especially if you go and see someone being like, oh, sleep paralysis, and I keep seeing this old woman trying to choke me and stuff. I don't either, but I don't believe it, because how can everyone's brain make up the same image? That's weird.
I've never had the old hag.
No, my ma had it.
I've never had the old hag. Your ma has. I've never had it, but I've had different experiences with this sleep paralysis, quotation, as we say. I can remember being as far back as being maybe 9 and having this happen, and it literally felt like I was choking in the bed and there was something in my face. But as well, I have there's plenty of things. I had cuts on the underneath my tongue. I nearly swallowed my own tongue one night. I remember lying in the bed, and it was like bright. It was like the lights and all was on out in the landing and all. And I was like, all right. And I was like, I'm just so tired. I just need to sleep. But my body was awake, and I know my body was awake. Like, I was awake. I was still conscious. I was still having me train of thought. Like, and I just remember this unmerciful pressure on me, and I couldn't lift, but I felt like there was something pressing down on my throat, and like my tongue was being pushed back. And I remember mustering any strength I had to try and lift my head, but when I lifted my head, I gripped my tongue and clamped on it. So my tongue was bleeding and all, and in my head, I just keep saying like, no, like, Archangel Michael, I invite you in. I invite you in to protect us. I invite you in to surround this house with light. Invite only good vibes. Invite only good intentions. Ward off the bad. Keep them away. Every night I do that.
I remember you telling before we started the podcast, there was some specifics of, like, let's say a specific, what you call it, a ghost, an entity, or spectre, or whatever, a specific one that you used to see with ginger hair, or used to scream in your face. Do you want to talk a bit about some of the stuff you've seen in the house, like some of the spirits you've seen, and if they've ever tried to communicate, or what type of experience you have with them?
Yeah, well, as I was saying, I used to, like, I saw things, then I just heard things. So it was visual, then it was just audio, then I went back to visual. So there was the lady in the corner, and this is when I had the back bedroom on my own then, and it freaked me out. That was like the worst room in the house, because that's the room that me ma wouldn't even leave the room one night, because she said there was something in that bed trying to drag her out of it, and it had red eyes and it kept coming at her. Even down here she said it as well, in this room. But like there was the lady in the corner, and she was just awful, just like shrouded in like black raggedy things with just scraggly hair, and would just linger in the corner, like. And then like I could kind of tolerate that. I'm like, right, if you're gonna stay in the corner, stay in the corner, like. And I always remember Maria saying to me, you just tell them, go into the light, I don't want to speak to you right now, I don't want to deal with you. But like that was fine. She just kind of stayed there, and then every so often she kind of like, you know, like, you know, kind of try and get at you. But there was this one that I just named the Viking, because this little shit would wait until I'd always like caterpillar myself up, as the way I can describe it, like just my head sticking out my blankets. And like I took me socks, I took me pajama bottoms into me socks, took me pajama bottoms into me pants, like, oh no, I had to be just completely covered up with nothing, like. And this little shit used to wait. I'd always lie on my left side. He'd wait until the eyes closed and you could just feel the hotness, and you'd open and it'd just be this literally big red, thick red moustache and beard like this with a big bulbous nose, like a whiskey nose, and just like the eyebrows, and just like in at you, like, like I have you. And then there was a time when I was in the front room with yous, and I was lying there and you two were asleep, and I was like, I just can't, I was a very bad sleeper, like. And next of all, we had the fitted wardrobes. These two Victorian children, and I shit you not, Victorian children with the little like the socks with the little puffy trousers over it, and they had these sticks with like ribbons on the end, just kind of skipping through from the wardrobe out and out onto through the front wall, like no floating the ribbon around, and I was just like choking. But then another night I remember lying there, and like I was actually in the same bed as Simon, because you had to be playing or watching a film or whatever we were in, playing a game. So he was asleep, I was on the outside of the bed, he was up in his bunk. And next of all, the wardrobes, you could see like at the corner, you could see the door, and there was this like Samara looking thing from the ring just like there, and I was like, oh no. And every time I tried to move, they're saying that's why it annoys me when people say sleep paralysis, because I wasn't asleep, I didn't wake up to this, I hadn't been asleep. I was fully conscious and aware of my surroundings, aware of what I was doing, where I was, like who I was with, knowing I hadn't woken from a slumber, like. And this thing just starts coming, but it's not like that, you know, like you see in films where it's like you blink and then it's there, then you blink and then it's there. And I remember trying to swing my hand, and I was like, if I can just swing my hand and punch him or elbow him or something, or and I remember you're trying to scream, and all that, you're screaming at the top of your lungs, all that comes out is and it's horrendous, because you're like, I'm gonna die, I'm literally gonna die, like.
Do you think with the stuff you've seen, have you felt that they were positive or negative? Because I know some people who have experiences, they can tell the difference. Like if they see a ghost of, like I say, a relative, they know it's not. They can feel the energy of it being bad, or you know. So, but what before we talk about that, like what intention did you get from the stuff you'd seen in your house? Like
majority, I'd say bad, and just like they just. See, that's the thing. I was visual before there was audio. Then I went back to visual. Like it kind of varied up, and then it just kind of stuck with visual. Then, and then I could like kind of feel things, if you know what I mean. Which I know sounds ridiculous to people. Like, but speaking of people that like try and like communicate with you, I remember I've seen Nanny Kenny a few times after she had passed away. One night I can remember, I was in my room, it was the back bedroom at the time, and I had this lamp where it was like two people ballet dancing, and the bulb was at the top, like a big round bulb. So I had bent down beside my bed to plug in the lamp, and when I got up, me Nanny Kenny was standing there at the wardrobe, just standing like this with her hands kind of cupped, with her rollers in her hair, her cardigan, her skirt. And I wasn't afraid, because I just wasn't afraid. But I remember just looking and going like, I know. No, I won't. And then as quick as she was there, she was gone. But then the door rang, and it was my friends Sean and Joe. And they were like, oh, we're going up to Tala. Like, oh, you coming with us? I was like, no, I can't. And they were like, oh, come on, like, just get your bus fare. And I was like, no, but I actually can't. Like, I can't go. But you didn't even ask Shama. I was like, I can't go, like, just leave me for tonight, I can't go, like, that night they got chased out of Tallaght back onto the bus with knives.
Wow.
Yeah. And then another time as well, actually, I seen Nanny Kenny a few times, but I remember, like, when I used to see her, I'd see her in like just our rollers and our skirt and just, you know, our little cardigan, kind of having our hands like this. But I remember actually seeing her at Robert's wedding, and it was after like we had the dinner and stuff, so we were sitting outside, and I think Simon was sitting on the chair with me, you were sitting across, there was Danny, Emma, Kira, Tara, and Emily was here. She was like behind us. So you were all chatting away, and I looked around and I could see me Nanny Kenny standing on Emily's left side. And Nanny Kenny had a green blazer on her. She had her hair in her curls. She had her little red lipstick on. And I remember just looking. And Simon kind of nudged me and she was gone. And I remember freaking out, going like, did no one see that? No one see that? And Maria had to take me outside and say, look, like, had to calm me down. I was sobbing. I was like, I am telling you she was here. She was here. And like, she was like, no, like, I believe you, I know, she said, but I'm just glad she was wearing her proper clothes and not her rollers and all this time. She goes, that's a good thing. She was standing on Emily's left side, that's a good thing. She was like, she's welcomed into the family. And I was like, well, of course Emily's going to be welcomed into the family, like, she's part of the family years anyway, like, you know what I mean? But it's weird.
I think there's a lot to like unpack. That's why the stories kind of lead on to other stuff and all, but we should probably take the next couple of minutes to talk about some of the smaller incidents that happen in this house. Like, you know, like the small ones that aren't really stories, but they're just bits. But I've one which leads back to after we used to have these 3 like oil paintings in the old sitting room. That when you walked in through the door, the one with the girl with the swans, and there was 2 on the small side. But the one on the left was the one that Grandad bought me ma for, I think it was either wedding or Christmas, something like that. He bought one of the paintings, but it was literally only a while after the funeral. It just fell off the wall.
That happened a lot, actually.
Yeah, but we never put it back up because it just kept falling off the wall ever since then.
Yeah.
Me ma just kept saying that's probably out around there, and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
it's a bit because but it was there for literally since we moved in, and it just fell off and it never went back up. So it's just weird. Grace, you have to take the mic.
Sorry. No, I remember as well that the photograph, you were saying the one on the right? On the left.
Well, yeah, left if you're looking at like.
Yeah, but that same photograph, we went to school with someone who lost their ma when they were very young.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think it was Catherine that was talking to me and saying, no, it's not good and all. And next of all, that painting come down off the wall. The next day, that girl died.
Oh, yeah.
I used to dream about her.
Wow.
I used to dream about that woman a lot. Yeah.
We also used to have a lot of like. You can probably corroborate. Obviously, we slept in the same room for years as kids. Yeah, you could hear everyone would be gone to bed, and you would hear.
The furniture moving.
Yeah, you would hear literally.
Next door. We were told it was next door.
Well, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
You could hear. Wait, hold on. Let me have to wait. You could actually hear the chairs. It wasn't like someone like, why would next door be pushing their chairs across the floor like, you know, like the 4 legs are digging in and they're pushing, and then you can hear one getting lifted and put on like dunk, like it lifted then pushed somewhere, then lifted and moved back. You'd hear the presses open, you hear the delve clinging and clanging, you'd hear weird stuff like that. Look, it was next door, but clearly yeah, it's too loud. Like it's clearly in the house. Like, you know, it's yeah. If do you have any like smaller stuff that it's not like
Sorry, I just stole your mic. Why don't you tell us about the night that you were all sitting there and the chairs start moving and the cat ran out? Tell us about that. Were you not? Oh, because I know maybe my ma was sitting there. I could have swore it was you. Maybe it was Simon. It was like 10, 11 o'clock at night, and the dogs were settled. The cat was asleep on one of the kitchen chairs, and next of all, they hear the grrr, like the chair going across the tiles. And when they looked, the chair had moved. The cat comes running down. The cat can't move a chair like that. Told you. Now continue.
There is not really continuation. It was just it didn't make any sense because I remember I went up to the chair because me and ma stopped. We both stood up and we're like, what? We kind of froze for a minute, and I was like, will I go down or not? Because we assumed it was like the dog or something was trying to get at the cat. 'Cause sometimes the dog tries to play in quotations with the cat, and he's a big dog, so he bumps into stuff. But I tried to. I think my dad's bag was on the chair, and I was like, ma, even if the cat was about, if the cat weighed 10 times our weight, she wouldn't have been able to move the chair because my dad's work bag is full of. It's really heavy. So
after this as well.
Yeah. But it didn't make any sense. So we were sitting there, and the chair went, like moved out a couple of inches, and the cat ran away, and just didn't make any sense. Like there's no way the cat moved it, and it was just strange. But we'll pass you over to Gav. He has some stuff to say.
No, it's just the way you were talking about like furniture moving and all. There's a chap that I used to be very good friends, and I remember like when we were only young at the time, we were about 16. He lost his mother, and he started smoking, and like I remember one night we were sitting in his living room. So it would have been fucking just smoking away, and he put his cigarette down in an ashtray, and the thing just rolled out. Say, it was like an old glass ashtray. There was about four little dips in it, 4 little grooves in it. Cigarette just went out one, rolled all the way around the thing in a full circle and back into the fucking thing. And that was seen with my own eyes. Yeah. Now, there was stories as well that he would have said about furniture moving. Like I think he told me that presses that open by themselves, they'd slam. We did hear one door slamming one night, and I was in there. It was him, me, and his little brother was there. I was there, and he was there as well. So we heard a door slamming in the house. We thought it was his front door, because there was a big long hallway leading out to the front door. So we went out straight away, looked onto the balcony. There was nobody there. We thought someone might have kicked the door. He had a little gate on the balcony that there's just no way that anyone would have been able to kick his door and then close that gate and get away before we'd seen them.
That's the second balcony, like.
Yeah. So we were just standing there, just looking around, going, "Look, there's not a soul in sight. Like it's the middle of the night. There's nobody here." Went back inside, and then we were just thinking about it, and we got, how did that happen? So in that hallway there was 3 doors, I should say. There was a bathroom, a bed, and 2 bedrooms. One was his and one was his sister's. So we went over to one of the doors and just kind of slammed it. He said, "Is that the noise?" "No, it's not." "Right, is my bedroom there the noise?" "No, that doesn't even slam." "Right, fucking, it's definitely not this one." It was a little, turned out in the end anyway, there was like a little coal box, we'd call it. It's like a little,
something like a hot press.
Something like a hot press, or a utility door, or a cubby hole. Yeah. Small little wooden door, very light. He just slammed that to see if that was the sound, and that was exactly the sound. Yeah. So it seemed like this little utility door just opened by itself and slammed.
But those doors you actually had to pull out because you were on a catch.
Yeah, they would have been on a catch. Yeah, but well, I don't know actually if this one would have been. I know the ones in our flat was, but in his one I don't think it was. It was a very light wooden door. You could have easily opened it and slammed it, but there was just no way it opened by itself.
No breeze or anything.
There was no breeze. There was not even a breeze wouldn't open it. It's just there's no way, and that we did hear that. And then another night, then he's been telling me multiple stories about this. He said he's seen a little girl one time. He said his brother seen it. He said he heard snoring noises, like waking him up and all. And
can I just ask you a quick question? It's relative to the story. Did he ever mention any stories like this before his ma passed, or the happening? So would it have been around the time his ma passed? Or?
Actually, to be very honest, he did. He mentioned that there was one particular picture that he couldn't hang on the wall. That no matter what had happened, he said it'd just fall off. Even his own mother said I just cannot hang that. And or a clock or a picture or something, I don't know what it was, but there was something that a point, he said, it was just that point in the house or that picture or whatever it was, we just couldn't hang it. That's the only one thing he did mention. But after his mother passed, then things did kind of go a bit weird. And he mentioned that he seen a little girl one time. He said that he came out of he was in his living room, so we'd call it a sitting room. And he was in his sitting room when he said that fucking a little girl just walked past his door with blonde hair and everything. And that kind of runs back in a way to your story at the beginning, what you said about you seeing something and then you're seeing Frankie. Yeah. His little girl is like small blonde hair now, to this day,
That's funny because the three of us were actually really close.
We would have been very close, and like I never fell out with with him. I haven't seen him in a long time, but
Cats and all that.
yeah, no, just a few little stories he did tell me. One night I was sitting in his house, and he goes, now, look. And I looked in, and his kitchen door, we call it a scullery. It's a small, tiny little kitchen in the house.
Yeah.
What the press door on it just opened. He'd been watching it open, and then just as it was about to slam, he said, now. And when I looked, the thing just slammed. And that I did witness. And it, like, yeah, I suppose when I think about it, like, 'cause I always say, oh, I never had any stories, but now when I think about it, yeah, I have at least three. Well, I seen the cigarette on that one on the same night. With the
same night.
that was with the same night, yeah, with the thing, fucking, what did I say? The press slamming. Yeah, it's a bit weird just talking about it. It's throwing me off, like. And then I remembered as well, we were we were 16, 17 at the time. That's when his mother passed away, and we were doing something called leaving cert at the time, and it's like your final exams in your high school or in your secondary school. So we were doing our leaving cert, and we had a break, and we went back to his house, and he put his he put his keys just on the table or whatever. We're just sitting around having a bit of a chat and everything, and we knew we had to go back and do an English exam. And to be honest, we were messing around that day, and I'd say we had a couple of cans of Heineken as well, and we didn't really give a fuck at
me leaving, so you're locked. I was me junior.
Yeah, we didn't really give a fuck at this stage. We were just saying, you know what, like it's an
Irish child gives up when it gets
you know, I mean, I went to we went to bleeding James Street School and all. There was just no hope in hell. Like, there was, you'd get abused if you were anyway good at school, and which we were. Like, I was genuinely all right in school, and then it was only when I went in, it was like, oh, goody, you're a goody and all, and I just couldn't cope with the peer pressure and all. And I was like, I don't want to be a goody. I'd rather fucking.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I had one teacher.
I'd rather fail in life.
He was like, your behaviour is so erratic, and I was like, what? And he goes, I mean erratic, and I was like, what? So I was like, I'll go for a smoke.
Yeah, just madness. And then anyway, right, we went back home. We had 2 cans of Heineken, right, and we were acting the bollocks and all, just having a laugh, watching bleeding shite on the telly and all. And we had an English exam that we were going to go into, which I think the 2 cans of Heineken, and I'd say at that time I think we did have a smoke of something that I wouldn't even partake in stuff, to be honest, but at that time I did. So I went in and got like a fucking A or something, and that was the only thing I ever got in. I was talking about like Machiavelli and all, with the ends justifying the means and all. Is it better to be loved or feared, you know? Saving that for the wedding vows. So I was like I went in anyway, right, and then fucking passed the thing. But yeah, just to get back to it, we were in the house in the fucking sitting room, and we had to go. So phone, yeah, right. Where's the keys? Where's the wallet? He has everything. Couldn't find his keys. I was like, where the fuck are they? We were looking around. He goes, Gav, help us look for them. I threw them, so I convinced I put them on the table. I said, I thought you put them on the table as well. I nearly seen that. I said, right, you're after being in the kitchen. Did you put them in there? No. Had a little look around with them. Where else would you have been? You went into your dad's room that time. Right, we'll have a little look. No, nothing there. He went over to we used to have they were real old flats, so we used to have fireplaces. It's like a mantelpiece, we call it. It's like a little board that would come out over your fireplace. He was standing there looking, and the keys just dropped. The only thing over that was a little clock that had a little fucking like lip on it, that he could have been on, but there's just no way.
You want to put them up there anyway.
And even if they were up there and they were sitting there tight anyway until we were looking at them, how would they just fall at that moment? But anyway, the keys just came from above and just dropped right in front of us. And I remember the two of us just being like, what the fuck, like, you know, just that. To be honest, I haven't had many weird stories, just the one where I said I heard something, and these ones.
Oh, except for, speaking of things falling, me man and dad was away before, so it was myself, me 2 brothers, me old cousin Gavin come up, and we were having a few drinks and just having a chat and all, and then it got to that time of the night where everyone started getting spooky, And Simon and Adam was all like, oh yeah, we should do a seance, oh let's call on the ghosts, and mocking everything that goes on in this house. Me and Gavin were saying we don't want nothing got to do with this. No, I rid my life of this. It's nothing got to do with us. No part in it. God please hear me. Save us, like. So we had a carbon monoxide alarm on the wall in the sitting room that had been there for like 2 years. And obviously the batteries have been changed and stuff like that, but it'd been there, no ever issues with it, no problems or anything. So we're all sitting there. Alan is there as well. Alan is my husband, basically my husband. So we're all sitting there. They're all having to laugh about the spooky ghosts and goblins and ghouls, and oh yeah, you won't do this. So Gavin left and went home. I went to bed. Alfie is my little Yorkshire Terrier. He was only a baby at the time. They all went to bed, but we were sitting there, and before this happened, the carbon monoxide alarm flew off the wall and nearly cracked one of them. Was it you or Alan? It nearly cracked one of them, and I think it was Alan, nearly cracked him in the skull. And we were like, what the fuck? Like, what is after happening?
We were at the being asking questions, first of all, before that happened.
I didn't want to know.
No, but we did. We were like, oh, because we all went, everyone just be quiet, shut up. And we were like, is there anyone there? And then we leave it and we'd be like, oh, so I think someone was recording on their phone as well to hear voices, just for the crack, to just in case. And it was after we stopped, that's when that blew off the wall. But we got in trouble for that. Mother and father was like, you broke the bleeding alarm. We were like, it was a ghost. But, you know.
So anyway, after this had happened, I was like, listen, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I am not going to bed between the hours of 3:15 and 4:45. That's the demonic hour. I am not going. So we waited up till 4 o'clock. Went to bed. Me and Alan went up to bed, brought Alfie up with me. He was only a baby. Simon went up into his room. That was fine. So anyway, we're lying there and all the lights and all is off, and next of all I hear is like and I was like, Alan, is Alfie walking along the floor? And he was like, no, it's grand. But then I felt someone, I thought Alfie had jumped up on the bed. Now literally Alfie was like a teacup sized dog at the time. I felt like the bed going down, and I was like, can you feel that? And he goes, yeah, what's going on? Is Alfie on the bed? And I was like, check. So he jumps up and knocks on the light. No, Alfie's curled up in his little bed. I was like, okay, fine, fair enough. Knocks the light off again, feels the bed going down again. I whips my feet up. I was like, there's someone sitting on my feet. And he goes, no, I felt that. And then we hears like a tapping. Now I had my hairdryer hung over the little doorknob of my wardrobe. Hadn't been touched, no breeze in the room, middle of summer. That thing was slamming off the wardrobe door. Well, that was it. I grabbed a hold of Alan. Now I'm alright, like, but it's been a long time since like that has actually happened. And I was trying to tell you this because you were talking about Ouija boards and talk to spirits and all, and I was like, I don't want no part in this. I was like, this is what freaked me out. So I grabbed a hold of Alan and I was like, oh god, knock the light on, but don't leave me, but get out and knock the light on. So he jumped up, knocked the light on. Alfie was still sitting in his little bed. Alan was going around the room trying to find the noise, and when he done that with the at the wardrobe, he was like, that's the noise. And I was like, oh god. So he put on the bedroom light, and then he went out into the landing, and he was kind of listening, and he heard something, and he knocked on the light, and he was like, no, fuck this. So we got back into bed, and that was all grand, and I was like, oh god, I'm dead. Gotta be killed. Oh my god.
Do you have a Ouija board story, Gavin? Do you want to tell it, or?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell it, yeah? And then I think I'll wrap it up then with a big story about another Ouija board circumstance. But no, we can have a look in there while Gavin.
No, the only story that I have, Adam, is there was 2 friends that I used to have years ago. One's name was Aaron, and the other one was Rob, I'd say his name was. I went to school with these lads, and I went around to their house one day. One of them was mad for smoking weed. Like, that's all they did. I wasn't really involved in it, but like, I'd have to laugh and have a chat with them and all, but I never did smoke it with them. And they wanted to do a Ouija board, so they ripped one out and drawed it up, and I was like, I'm not interested in it. I have nothing to do with it, because I heard all these.
Where did they get it from? Did they have it already? Or?
No, they didn't. They just got a piece of paper and just drew. They just drew one up, and they wanted to do it, and they were talking about believing in it. And the chap's father, Robert, I'd say his name was. He is father only died like recently. He fucking hung himself, and he was
was this the fella at the house you were in?
no, he was another friend, and he was saying that he wanted to kind of talk to his dad and all and see if it works and all. And I was like, look, I'm not fucking having any part of that. No, 'cause genuinely, like, I just, after hearing all the stories, I just said, no, fuck that. And then I remember just leaving and going, right, look, I have to bounce and go home. I went home, and that night then, they said, this is, I can't even say if it's true or what, but I'm just going from the blokes that I knew at the time. Aaron said that he was in his house, and he said that he was a bit of a fucking hippie, like he had loads of little bookshelves, loads of books on it. He used to collect them and all. He said that every one of them fell off except for the Bible that was on it. He had like a school Bible. Now when you're like 12 or something, you make your confirmation and you get like a little Bible. He had that, and he had loads of other books and all. He said that just for some reason the shelf just dipped, and everything fell off except the only thing that was left on it was that little Bible. And then
do you think maybe it was an evil spirit and I couldn't touch the Bible, or do you think it was a good spirit and it was like, here's a sign to stop messing with stuff like that?
I have no idea what it was, to be honest. I just know that it was, well, I don't even know if it was just happened or what. Yeah. But I know the same night Robbie, he went back to he used to live down on James Street at the time, and he went home that night, and there was just a big fucking power out. Yeah. No, it wasn't like it just affected him, it did affect the whole area, but it's just a coincidence that like he shit himself as well. He was like, oh boys, I shit myself. I was like, I didn't know what it was after doing that thing and all the house, and then just the lights just all going out in the whole area. I thought it was coming from me. That's where he was, but after speaking to Aaron then the next day, he was like, no, everything fell off except for that Bible, and I was grand, nothing happened to me. I did leave though. I was like, nah, I'm not fucking having no part of this, which I did before as well, just from hearing stories and all. I just don't want to get to deal with that. Something weird as well though, I do believe in, has anyone got any stories about like good things that happened? Like for example, in my case, say I started I don't want to say I'm a big religious nut or anything, like I'm not really, but like I would say a prayer every now and then. And like anything that I ever wanted, like I suppose, like I said, I'm nearly 30 now, and I'm living in England now, and I've never really had a good job or nothing like that, you know. And I always used to wish I could get a man's job, a proper job, like learn a trade or something like that. And I used to pray for this, and now like it's kind of happening, you know. And a few other little things I would say, I don't really want to mention it here, but a few little things I do feel like I've prayed for and it's happened, and I'm just wondering, is that because it does kind of, doesn't it, mixes in a little bit with this whole supernatural thing, and I still don't know whether I believe in anything or, but to be very honest, you know, but yeah, I have a few stories though.
I think a fair statement from you was like, you don't believe in everything, but you believe what you saw. Yeah. You don't know what it was, but you just know you've seen it. Yeah. Alright, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I feel like that as well. Like there's just a couple of other little things I could tell you if you want, really quick. Well, I had before our brother Simon got married to his lovely wife. I had a really weird dream because the wedding had been put off because of COVID. So I had this really weird dream where we were in my nanny's house, and it always ends up centering back to my nanny's or flats or something like that. So we're in my nanny's house, and the priest was coming to go through these masses, these prayers and stuff like that, and that was alright. And then I ran around to get smokes in the shop, but when I went down, it was teeming down with rain, and it was pitch black, and it was where the butchers used to be instead of where Kenny's was. So I went in, asked for 20 silk purple. No, we don't do them. So I was like, alright, grand. So I had to try and run back around in time for the church. But when I ran back around and I got to the stairs, my dad was coming down in like a black suit. Everyone was dressed for a funeral. My ma was struggling down the stairs with a baby's pram, like with like the bassinet in it and stuff, like a newborn baby's pram. And I was like, give me that, you can't be carrying that. And I carried it down. We're going to be late for the church. It was like we were going to a funeral. And then I had a miscarriage. didn't even know I was pregnant, like, at the time. I just find it weird about things like that. And as well, I actually had a dream before where my mum and dad was sleeping. It was their rooms downstairs at the time, and I had this, like, as they call it, sleep paralysis. But then I ended up, it was like I was awake but in a dream, but I knew fully what was going on. And when you or Simon had come into the room and said, no, like, you need to go and say what's going on. So I remember at one point it was just pitch black, but it was like a night vision. But I ended up standing right there at the end of my man and dad's bed and looking at them and going like I was trying to scream at them, like I was locked inside my own body, and I was screaming like, help me, but all that came out was like, help me, like, that weird demon voice. That generic weird demon voice. But when I woke up, I could feel myself like trying to fight out of this weird body that I was in. But when I woke up, I had scratch marks on my arm and all, and it was 3 scratch marks, and that's called the mocking of the Trinity. And I also had a weird dream about Gavin here, where he was telling me, oh yeah, like, I'm coming home, I have to get home, coming home. So I hadn't actually heard from him. Then I get a phone call off him like a couple of days later. This was when the whole COVID thing hit. And I was just panicking and all this. Like, so then I get a phone call off Gavin, and he's like, oh yeah, how's it going? Like, you alright? And how's it going over there? And he's alright, and this is awful and all. I was like, yeah. I said, it's really weird. I said, I had a dream about you, that you were ringing me and telling me, no, I'm going to be home on Friday. I'll be home Friday, and that's it. Like, I have to get back out of here. I have to get out of here. I have to get home. And he actually said to me, that's so weird. He said, I have a ticket booked for Friday. He didn't. Vouch for that, like.
No, I can honestly say I was over in England, and this only would have been a year over there, and I was doing all right in the job and all, and I was just fucking, this whole thing broke out, and there was a big speech. I don't know what happened over here, but there was Boris Johnson did a big speech over there, right? And he was like, you're gonna lose fucking loved ones before the time and all. I was panicking. I was like, imagine if I just cared about a job and then go over to fucking never see me ma again. She dies and all. What sort of fucking son am I? Like, you know what I mean? So I was all over the place. I was kind of thinking, what'll I do? And then I spoke to loads of people. And I remember that day speaking to Grace and all. And
just come home. She
was telling me this now. And I was like, fucking hell, I had a ticket booked. I booked a flight, and I said, if I take it, it was only like £30 or something. I said, if I take it, I take it. If I don't, I don't. I'm still going to think about it. And that night then, I decided then, I was like, no, well, it actually wasn't that night. That night I had a dream that I was in our nanny's house up in the flats. I don't know why. I always go back there. It probably just because you spend so much of my time there. I don't know. But I had a dream that I was in the scullery looking out the window into the flats, and I seen it must have been 100 horses, right? But they were there. Do you know the black stallion, the funeral horses, the real tall ones? There was say 2 horses on a carriage, and they were in a row of 2. Oh, yeah. And they just went the whole length of, say, one side of the block. Could have been 50 of them or something.
Ready to set out on.
It looked like they were just ready to just leave the flats, like, just weird dream, And I woke up and I was thinking, they're funeral horses, because we've seen fucking Ron Massey's and all, and funerals and all, and I remember thinking, like, fuck me, like, that if that's not a sign that I should go home, then what should I do? I rang me dad then, and he was like, nah, son, ride it out, you grand. I was like, nah, fuck this then. I got so annoyed. I was like, right, listen, fuck him, I'd rather die. And then I was like, right, I'm staying here. I'd rather die than go home to that shite. And ended up being the best decision I ever made. Therefore,
I actually had the exact same dream as Gavin about being in nannies, and it was just one of those weird kind of dreams. And then we were out on the balcony, but it was just like a whole mass of like funeral carriages and the big black stallions all dressed for the funerals, like, and just ready to just march out the flats. And I remember it being weird, because I remember someone saying that there was like a burial ground or something there, some sort of burial ground around where the flats was or something like that, and it always just freaked me out. But really quickly, I'll just tell you that I don't know whether you probably remember this, I could smell death. Can you remember that? Yeah, I can actually smell death. It's so weird. Like, if someone in my family or someone close to me is gonna die, I will smell flowers, and really, really strongly. I remember coming down the stairs one day. Now, I wasn't close to this person. I didn't know this person, but was obviously related to me dad, I think. I came down the stairs and I was only... The phone was still in the hall at the time, so I was about 9. I come down and I goes, oh, there's an awful smell of death in there. And my mum was like, what? I was like, man, there's a smell of death in the hall. I can smell flowers. And she was like, what? You're mad? And then the phone rang. And someone in England belonging to me dad was at her dying. It's like, well, okay. But I remember actually when John was in hospital, I'd went over to see him with me ma. And I can remember getting as far as the door in the room. And my whole body just kind of seized up. And I was like, I couldn't even breathe. I was in agony. I was like, I can't go in there. I was like, I can't. I was like, you need to get the priest. You need to get the priest in here now. I was like, he's dying. He's dying. And so they got me to ring me dad, ring Maria and stuff like that. And they eventually got the priest up. And when I went in, John was literally he was coughing up pieces of his heart. Like, he was no energy at all, but he was dragging himself up to the end of the bed. And I couldn't even look. I was like, my nanny's at the end of the bed. It's like, she's waiting for him. That's his sister. My nanny is John's sister, so we're granduncle. She was waiting for him. And I actually remember as well Maria saying, like, you never stand at the end of the bed when somebody is dying. But I remember with Nanny Fitzpatrick, I deliberately stood at the end of the bed. Why? Because I didn't want her to die. I didn't want her to go. So I stood at the end of the bed, and I feel guilty over it.
Why are you not supposed to do that?
Because you're not supposed to stand at the end of the bed when somebody is passing away, because whoever is coming to meet them in the afterlife will come and greet them at the end of the bed to take them home. Like,
that's interesting.
But what if you die in a forest and there's no beds?
That doesn't make no difference. Like, it's someone will appear. But like, I mean, whoever is coming to meet them will appear before them and take them home. Like,
better nettles.
Take me home, country roads. Like,
in a bed of roses.
Okay, mock me. Wait, you see what's going to happen to us tonight.
That's a jippo course.
I just want to swing it back to the black horses you were talking about, like the funeral horses. That we talked about this in another podcast. Maria's daughter, not the daughter now, but Maria's husband was walking around the Liberties after the pub just years ago. No, when they were like 18, 19ish or something like that. Yeah. And he swears to God he's seen these exact type of horses you're seeing just out on their own, like in the full garb and stuff, like. So it's just, but there is like, that is classed as like old Dublin. Is it? And stuff. Yeah, that Liberties and like where we are, that's like old Dublin. No, but so is Trees of Gardens. But there is the legend around there of now I say this in jest, but not jest. Also, they call it the Headless Horseman.
Ma saw him.
Yeah, that's what they call it though. It's you randomly hear bleeding.
Me ma saw him.
Yeah,
Tell us, Storm.
but I just thought I'd mention that was the same type of horse and stuff.
Yeah,
it's just weird the way that. Do you think maybe obviously because it's the same area and like it? I do find it very strange that a lot of your stories and a lot of your dreams and stuff they do stay.
Sorry.
Bro, I have to finish the sentence.
Sorry, I'm really sorry.
They can't even hear you. What was I saying? Oh, fuck.
I'm sorry.
Fuck. Anyway, does anyone else have anything else? Do you need to say any stories or even little tidbits they need to say before they go?
Frankie actually saw something creepy, and Darcy is starting to be really weird in the house.
Yeah, but is there stuff you can like properly converse like into like a little segment or?
Oh yeah, like when it was before we moved out actually. Before we moved out here, Darcy was only just over a year, and Frankie would have been 3.5. Yeah. So it was just say a few weeks before we moved out here. She'd always like jump out of bed and run into me ma's room. Oh, good morning, Nanny, like crack of dawn. But I remember she tried to go downstairs on her own, and I was like, no, I'm getting up now. Just I'm getting the baby. Like it's alright. Just hold on. But she wouldn't even go into me ma this morning. She was lying down on the stairs, like say on her belly with her hands on her chin, like, and she was like, oh, there's a little boy. The little boy is outside and he's running around outside. And I was like, what little boy? Like, I could see him through the window, like through when you look down your stairs, you can see through the front door and the porch doors. And I was like, oh right, okay, like not even really. I was like, right, okay, she's probably like half asleep. And then I was like, right, we're coming down now. And then she starts screaming. And I mean, this child was hysterical. She said, the little boy, he was going through the window. And then when I looked, he was on the stairs and he was coming at me like this with his face all, like, obviously you can't see this, but she was making his mouth all open and making faces. And the child was hysterical. She was shaking. But then when I moved into my own house, a couple of times as well, Frankie had woke up and ran in and been like, there's a man in the bedroom, and I saw him walking past, there's a man in the bedroom, and I'm like, there's no man in here, it's okay. Like, I always say to her, you tell them, go into the light, I don't want to talk to you right now. But then Darcy now was starting to kind of look past you and go, him, and night, and I'm like, who is she talking to? And I'm like, who is it? Him, and I'm like, oh, him over there, like pointing there, and she's like, yeah, him, night, love you. And I'm like, who's she talking to? I'm like, okay, night, please don't kill us. Please don't possess my children.
Well, hopefully, because I know a lot of people's kids, kids are obviously classed as sensitive in this, they feel the paranormal stuff, so hopefully they'll grow well, because a lot of kids apparently don't even remember. You used to always say that you seen a child and they just go, what are you talking about? Like, you know, it could be actually a major thing for them for 2 years being like, my mate, and they're like, I don't fucking remember telling you about that now. You know? Although I'd imagine any friend usually wouldn't have a contorted face and trying to get through the bleeding windows and all, so... no, but that's what I'm telling you. That's why it's weird, like, because obviously it wasn't like, oh, my friend, my little... It's like, no, this thing was trying to fucking eat me. Anyway, now, obviously some closing thoughts on this. I just have a few questions. Now, Grace, we are picking you up too much, so we have to let people talk and then we'll pass the mic, okay? I think your beers are hitting you a bit hard, bro. No, it's okay. Just I'm just gonna pass the mic around, just ask a question and then just get opinions on it, and we'll start from the end, then come back to me. So we'll start with Gavin. What do you think actually happens after you die? And yeah, basically, what do you think actually happens? Like, where do you go? Do you think your spirit goes somewhere? Do you think there even is such thing as a spirit? Or yeah. And then as a lead up or a follow on, like, what do you think if you do believe in what you've seen, what do you think that was then?
Right, so when you die, yeah, I don't know what's out there. I try to kind of believe in what the Bible says, that there's an afterlife. I think it's just comforting, isn't it, to kind of imagine that there is something out there. But I don't know, like, I'd imagine that, who knows, maybe when you... It's actually strange that you say it, right? Because one of the latest dreams that I would have had, and I don't know why we're always talking about dreams. I think this has become a fucking bit of a dream podcast, but I remember having a dream that I seen a car accident, and I went off to help the man in the dream, and he was I kind of got into the car, he was upside down there, and I said to him, like, don't worry, I'm here, because he was passing out, and then he looked at me and said, why are you here? Like, go to where you're happiest. And then another car crashed into that car, and I knew I died in the dream. But the minute that happened, I just kept reliving the same thing that was happening, and I was like really panicked in it, right? I was like, that's fucking weird. And then I started thinking about, right, when was I happy, and then I went to a stage where I was in the flats then, and I was in my old house, and I was like, I don't know what we were doing, we were like putting something into a sink, but it looked like kind of like conkers or something, or, you know, like just weird, like just, yeah, you know, when you dream about mad stuff. It was like, did we?
We used to find conkers and we'd wash them in your sink, and
Did
we'd
we?
play with the little action man in your sink.
Used to go to graveyard.
I couldn't even remember doing that as a child, but yeah, anyway, we're putting like, it looked like conkers or something into the sink, and then I don't know, I was with two people that I didn't recognise in the dream, and it was like, you're just dreaming or whatever.
Maybe you haven't met them yet.
No, it was more like just fucking garbage, like just fucking jumbled up shit. And then, because usually I can have very vivid dreams that I know, but this one was just a bit of a messed up one. And then I remember then just thinking to myself, someone showed me a watch, and I had like, someone said like, 27 years passed. So I was thinking, like, fucking 27 years just passed, like, why am I still here? And then I just remember that the people that was in the dream, they just kind of looked at me, and their faces were fucking just aged completely. And then I just remember waking up, but that kind of did stick to me, and I was kind of thinking, like, imagine, is that what dying is? Like, you're just dreaming, like your mind just kind of goes, your mind just kind of goes into it.
Constant state of dream.
I don't even know how to explain it, but just imagine like your mind just kind of goes and something kind of opens up in your mind and you're just in a permanent dream, and wherever you are happiest doing, that's probably what it is. Or if you're a bad person, wherever's your fucking darkest nightmare, you just relive. So who knows if that is what death is or what, you know.
So going back to the second part of your question, you know what you saw with the cigarette moving and the press slamming. What do you think that was?
Again, it's just like I've always kind of been more I'd say more like I'd be afraid more of fucking humans than I would of anything like that. But I do believe there was some sort of spirit or something like that that can I can't explain it honestly. And like I said, I only had a very few stories, and I tried to be as real as I can about it. If it did happen to me, if I've seen it with my own eyes, I'd mention it. The only one that kind of has holes in it is the one I said about the Ouija board, that I wasn't even there to say, yeah, there was definitely a power. I mean, yeah, the power out definitely did happen, because it happened a lot all along the road, but the Bible part and all,
That's weird.
I wasn't there to say, oh, I just had to go and I know the chap and I'm believing him. But so yeah, I don't know if it just is what it is really. I do remember though, just thinking about that like dream was, I remember one story where, well, one dream I should say, I was going back a few years ago anyway, right? So I had a dream that I walked into a bar, like a pub. It looked more like a little pub anyway, and I walked in, and in the dream I was just out of my own character. Like I was like, I'd be more of a quiet person if I went into a pub, unless I was fucking well oiled or something. But I felt like I was just acting like I was like fucking Jack the Lad or something, and that's something I wouldn't really be doing if I didn't know anybody. But I had a dream that I walked into a pub anyway, and I was like, "Is my brother in here?" And people were like, "Who are your brother?" And he goes, Gavin Wilson, he said, and he goes, "You fucking idiot." He's after fucking crashing his car, and started laughing. And then only shortly after that, about like a month or something, or a couple of weeks, I can't even remember, but I remember I did crash my car, and I was fucking pissed. I drank like a bottle of whiskey or something, and then just fucking went out for a drive and then crashed it in. So it was mad to think that like you dream or something, and then yeah, it's just mad. That's it.
Do you think that do you think the fact that you crashed your car and then you had this kind of thing about your what's going on there?
It's going crazy.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
Mad feedback here, Ted.
No, what is that?
Ghosts. The ghost.
What the fuck is that?
It's here.
That's never happened in my entire life. That's a weird one.
Oh my god. I think you should leave this in. That's the goats. Oh my god. The ghosts don't want us talking about them.
Yeah, sorry about that. We had some very, very strange technical difficulties, which we've no idea what it is, but it seems to have fixed itself. I was literally just about to ask you a question, Gavin. It was do you think, thinking about that car crash, that obviously wasn't you're lucky to be alive after that actually, because the car was totaled. Do you think the recent dream you had, maybe that's in the back of your mind, because in the recent dream you had about the car, and it was like, what you were doing here, and then the car got crashed into. What do you think about that? Do you think it might be linked in some way, maybe in not by in a paranormal way, just in your subconscious, or you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure actually whether it does or not. I don't believe it does, to be honest. No, I wouldn't say it does. That's my honest opinion on it. No. But the other question you asked me though as well, you were saying what happens when you die and all. I do believe that like maybe it is something like just what's wrong with you?
No, I'm just seeing.
Were you freaked out or something?
Yeah, a little bit.
This is the creepy room.
No, I don't know.
What happened?
I don't know. I'm just seeing something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like a white fucking
An orb.
thing.
Was it? No, there's nothing there. You're okay.
Let's turn the light back off.
Well,
Tell me
I didn't
because
say
I'm
anything.
hearing it's ghosts. We're talking about ghosts. That's what it is.
Jesus Christ.
No, you're just freaked out. I think
Sorry.
No,
I can't even remember what I'm talking about. I think
What happens when you die?
Nah,
Yeah.
it's fuck all happens probably. You just no, you just nah, I'd say it's something like a dream or something like that. I really I hope there is a God, and I hope He brings you up to heaven and looks after you and you see all your ancestors. Maybe I do believe in that as well. I don't want to say I do and I don't want to say I don't, because I really don't know. But I really hope around my heart though that there is like a heaven.
Now, I was going left. I suppose I'll pass it on to Monica or Marcella, as maybe some of you might know her. It's the same as you. Well, I suppose because you haven't really got any like proper paranormal experiences that you can kind of describe, which do you think is the most likely, and which do you think is most unlikely to have been a paranormal experience out of the stuff you've heard tonight?
Which do I think is?
Like the most likely to be a paranormal event. Like which do you think is the most explainable, and which one do you think is most likely to be something that's unexplainable out of the stories you've heard tonight?
Well, I do, and I think that I said that in the last episode or session that we had, is I do believe in sleep paralysis because I suffer with it. But I said also that I try to explain everything, and that's just me. I just go like, if something happens to me, I just choose to like try to find a logical explanation, and it's not that I don't believe it. Like when people tell me what their experiences are, I do genuinely do believe them. But as it is for me, I am like so afraid of this stuff that I choose to like try to find a logical explanation. So I believe that maybe when you like, it's not to discredit anything, but sleep paralysis to me, it is a thing, and it does have a logical explanation, and that's it. But like other than that, I like respect all of the stories, and I do feel a bit of a vibe sometimes in this house because I live here. It's not like I'm immune to all of this, but like that's my opinion. I think.
What a beautifully neutral, on the fence answer. I suppose just what do you think happens when you die? Like, would you think something? Do you go somewhere? Does your physical body? What happens? Like,
I had a really weird experience a long time ago, but like I don't know if this is not related to any of the things that we've been talking about, but like one day a long time ago, in another life as I will call it, I took a substance and and it took me to a really weird,
What'd you take?
let's say, trip.
What'd you take? Was it mushrooms?
It was called salvia.
Salvia.
Yeah, and it's bad, but it is bad. Like as I said, it was another life. It was a long time ago, but I remembered that I went to this place. It was like a lot of colors and a lot of pain. It was like a bad, hard, like it was a bad pain, and I kept my head kept exploding, like for I don't know. In my mind, it felt like I was there for months.
yeah,
And it was for 15 minutes, but I felt like I was there for months, and I kept screaming and I kept like asking for help, and like nothing happened. And then I kept like looking at pictures in my trip of my life when I was a kid, and I was trying to like hold on to them so that I could go back to reality, but I couldn't. And that kept happening, and nobody believes it, but it felt like it was for a long time. So when I woke up, I felt like I had been gone for a long time, and it was for 15 minutes. So in my mind, in my experience of, that's hell to me.
Yeah.
So that would be hell to me, and I don't know. I guess that's the most weird experience that I have.
Whoa.
Well, I was only having a private conversation off air, but time is perceptual to every actually creature. Like you might look at a mayfly and go, "You're only alive a day," but their day,
It's a whole lifetime.
it could be 1,000 years in their tiny, like how they perceive the universe to be. Obviously, no one knows what time is. Like it's is it an energy? Is a fluid? We don't know. We just know that it passes, and your
Sure.
perception of it for everyone is actually different. So,
Yeah.
for all you know, that could be your idea of your own personal hell. When you die, you could probably go there, mate. Not trying to spook you out, but now imagine that happening forever. That's a concept of hell, isn't it? Crazy. I'll pass on to my co-host now. So I suppose
I've just got two
Jesus.
more little things to say, but the where do I think we go when we die?
Oh, you want to tell two more?
Just two more little small ones.
Okay.
Okay. Just two more things real quick. The first one is we actually had our house blessed twice. Three times? I remember why we got it blessed the first time is because the back bedroom was just like the freaky room with the lady in the corner and the Viking and the little everything else in between. The demons dragging me mad, the bed and all. I'd be sitting reading me books and with my little lamp on. I had this little bookshelf on me, little Jacqueline Wilson books and Louise Renison and all that, and they'd just come flying off the shelf, and I was like, I can't cope. I was like, I can't do this. Like, no, this is just not. I'm not. I'm done. Like, I can't function. So, we got the house blessed, and it quietened down for a couple of months, and then it was like, psych. It's like, do you know what I mean? Oh, you thought we were gone? Like, yeah, we're back with a vengeance. Like, and then it was just like a bit more intense, and then it was blessed again, and then it was blessed again, like, and it was just like, do you know what I mean? I'm just over this. Like, I just need to be grown up. I just need this to all shut down. Like, I don't need everything to be just like so open to this. But to be honest with you, I do kind of miss it. But as recent as August, I actually saw something when I went on a hens, and I didn't tell anyone that I was in the room with because I was like, no, I don't want to be that freak. Like, but I was lying there, and now the other girls was awake. Like I knew they were awake. I was after being asleep, and I woke up and I could hear like, oh, I'm just gonna go for a wee, or I'm just gonna like go out and have a cup of tea or something. And all the lights was off and all in the bedroom, and I seen this little old country woman in a little flowery dress now with a little apron on the front, like no from the country, but the little hair and the bun, and the little old man beside her with the little tweed hat and jacket and all, like. And at first I was like, oh, and then I was like, you know what, no, I'm too old to even be afraid of this. So I was just like, I am rolling over and going to sleep. But the second night, one of the girls got up to go to the toilet, and I seen this black figure come into the room and walk down to the other end of the room. And I was just like, no, I'm out. Like, I'm going to sleep. Like, you know, say your decade of the rosary, say your prayers. Like, you know, invite Archangel Michael in, keep you safe and all that. But actually, really quickly, in my own house, Frankie, we have to sleep with the landing light on and the 2 bedroom doors open because the kids are kids, like, so they sleep better with a bit of light. So I was lying in bed one night there a few months ago, and Alan was, say, on the left hand side of the bed. Yeah. Frankie was in the middle of the bed because Frankie just likes to sleep in the bed. So I was lying there, and I felt like it was just like this cold breeze. And I was like, okay, this is, I mean, house is cold anyway, but this was like a weird and extra kind of cold. And now the bedroom door was open. Sorry, excuse me. The bedroom door was open, and this black figure, like about 6 foot tall, with a top hat, just came into the room and started, like, kind of came up towards the bed, up onto the bed, and was getting nearer and nearer to me, and I couldn't move, and I was like, I'm dead. I was like, this is the devil. He's here for me. Like, I'm dead. And eventually I managed to snap out of it, and I thought it was gone, but it wasn't. When I turned, it was behind me, and I just had to keep asking Archangel Michael to come in, ward this off, get it out, invite only good energy in.
Okay, so I think I'll pose to you probably the same type of 2 questions. The first one is obviously what you actually think happens when you pass away. Where does your soul go, or what you think? What's your opinion on it? And out of all your experiences, which one do you think you can explain away? Is there any of them you think you can explain away?
No. Well, what I think happens when we die is, I think we go back in our brains to a time when we were the happiest. But I'd like to think that it's a time when I have me 2 girls, and it's a time that we're all alive and fit and well and healthy, and we can just keep reliving from there. And we're just where everybody is together, and you know what I mean, there's people that have gone before you, but like, you get to be with everyone again. But I don't want it to be a time, like, I don't want my brain to think that I was happiest at a time before I had my 2 kids, because if I hadn't got my 2 kids, like, no, Alan, like, Jesus, like no, I couldn't, because I that's my family. Do you know what I mean? And then if I hadn't got like you, Simon, like Gavin, Monica, my ma, dad, like everybody, like my whole extended family, like I'd hate to think that my brain would go back to a time where I didn't know them, or I didn't like, well, what, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like, I'd hate for my brain to go back to a time where like I didn't have my kids, didn't have everyone that I have in my life right now. Do you know what I mean? But Trevor, that we went to college for, he was one of the lecturers. He said that he thinks that heaven is what you make it, so everybody makes their own heaven. And I thought that was a very good kind of train of thought, like, because you know your idea of heaven could be like, I'm gonna have all my guitars, I'm gonna have all my equipment, I'm gonna like, do what I'm doing, but I'd hate to think that like if my idea of heaven didn't fit with someone else's, that we wouldn't know each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what kind of freaks me out. But no, I do believe that
Maybe it's a mix of all of
yeah,
the good
like
memories.
I do actually firmly believe that like we will like all just stay together. Like even if you're reincarnated, I think that your brain at that time will just be stuck with your family and who you know now, like, and you're rolling your eyes at me, but okay. Sorry, I thought you were. And what was the second question? Oh, what can I explain? What do I think is explainable?
If there was one you could pick that you could explain away, which one do you think was the least likely to be a paranormal experience?
The least likely. Jeez, like I honestly don't even know. Like I can't explain any of them without there being some sort of other being. I better not say being because it's very common. I don't think I'd be able to logically explain anything without a paranormal thing kind of being there and underlying of it. Like I don't think I could, honest to God. Like I just know what I've seen, what I've experienced, what I've felt, and I know how I feel when I'm in this house and when I'm in my own house and when I'm other places. I get feelings off other people as well. Like sometimes I see auras and stuff, but that's all I can kind of go on. You know what I mean? I can't tell other people this is fact and this is fact, because it's not fact to them, it's fact to me. I've experienced it. I can just tell my story and hope people find it interesting. Sorry.
So lads, any final thoughts that you just want to get out into the universe before we end this off?
I dreamt about Simon hurting his leg and he hurt his leg.
No, I mean a final thought, not another story, man. You too many.
I'm sorry.
We can do it again. We'll have another episode. But anyone, any like, that you just want to say?
Till
Or
the next episode.
anything? No. All right then. We'll leave this one off here, and maybe we'll see us next Halloween for another special, or I don't know. Maybe we'll make this a nice segment because we seem to have a lot of stories.
Back again. Sober.
Yes. Stay spooky. Good night, God bless. See you again. And thanks for listening, because this has been like about 9 hours worth of, if you've made it this far.
Because of my dopey
No,
heart.
just all together of all the oaks. So catch you in the next one. God bless you.
God bless us one and all.